This is your no bullshit guide to a happier life. Quick but not necessarily easy tips to help you squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of your business and your life. My name is Gigi Calvert. I'm a coach, a business owner and a parent, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I do swear occasionally, as the title suggests, so pop in your headphones if I'm not safe for little ears. Ready to go? Let's do this.
Everyone keeps telling you this is normal life, but it's not what you signed up for. I know, me neither.
I ditched my normal life years ago, stepped into my power, and never looked back.
Ready to do the same? I have the coaching program for you.
Stepping into Our Power is a year-long coaching program for those ready to reclaim their capacity, their influence, and their life.
It's not about the right way to be powerful. It's about being powerful your way, in a way that's true to you.
In this programme, we explore how to gain clarity, find confidence, recognise your strength and nurture your energy so you can move forwards with purpose and power.
They have stepped into their power. Want to follow them on that road? My Stepping into Our Power coaching programme is for you. If you're ready to stop giving your power away, you want to build unshakable self-worth and boundaries, you're tired of other people's opinions drowning out your truth, you want to move forward with strength and energy on your terms, you're committed to radical self-care as the foundation of your power, and you want to create a world you actually want to live in. You deserve real change, not another easily forgotten workshop. Head to intoyourpower.co.uk to find out more, or head to the link in the show notes for this episode. Hello, and welcome to this episode where we are going to be talking about mental strength and how it is a huge source of our power. So last time we talked about physical strength, so now we're moving into our minds. Let's start with talking about what is not mental strength, because this is a topic where a lot of us have it backwards. And it's understandable because this is stuff we've been taught, right? So never showing emotion, carrying everything alone, and pretending everything is fine is not mental strength. That is mental incapacity or lack of capacity. Mental strength, mental capacity actually look like being able to hold space for the emotions and inner worlds of our loved ones without making them feel as though they are too much. That wonderful phrase, right? It's too much, too needy, too much. Let me say that again. Mental strength looks like being able to hold space for the emotions and inner worlds of our loved ones without making them feel like they are too much. And, it gets even better, and it is doing the same for ourselves. Holding space for our emotions and inner worlds without ever making ourselves feel as though we are too much. That is mental strength. So it's a practice, right? It's just like physical strength. It's something you build throughout your life. It's not something that just happens. It's not something you're born with. It's not something you can do once and then it's done. It's a practice, exactly like physical strength. And exactly like physical strength, it's not necessarily about becoming the best at it and the most impressive and winning competitions for it. I'm not sure there are competitions for mental strength, but that would be interesting. But it's about building and maintaining that mental strength throughout your life so that you can live your life to the full for as long as possible, just like physical strength. But it's not something we build in the gym, right? Our mental strength isn't built in the gym. It's built in therapy and in coaching. And incidentally, in coaching with me, other coaches are, of course, available. But this is something that I see my clients building and gaining and growing as we work together. They're exercising their mental strength. Now, I don't believe there's anyone in this world who doesn't need therapy. in the same way that there's nobody who doesn't need exercise. Like, we all need to grow our mental and physical strength. We wouldn't wait until our body had completely fallen apart before we took any notice of it. Well, at least I hope we wouldn't. I'm not saying that we're all on some kind of fabulous fitness and health regime, but we tend to, at least clean our teeth, maybe don't eat McDonald's all the time. Like, we're paying some attention to our body. But do we ever pay any attention to our mind? Or do we only pay attention to it when it falls apart? And do we only think we need to do something with it when it falls apart? In my ideal world, everybody would be getting therapy and coaching regularly, or, regular check-ins throughout our lives, or whatever it might be, because we all need it. We need to take care of our minds. Now, therapy, coaching, they're not always available or affordable. I understand that. They're not something you can just have whenever you like. Admittedly, going to the gym isn't always affordable either, but we can usually, go for a walk or a run. We can't, that's free. We can't necessarily go to therapy or coaching. But there are so many social media accounts and books and opportunities to learn about who we are and how our minds work. Like, you trip over this stuff on social media all the time. And there are tons and tons of good books. And peer support, right? I can guarantee you your friends will be able to tell you what they've used and what they've looked at. What do you look at? What do you read? What do you take in when it comes to your mental health, your mental strength? People will tell you, right? This stuff is everywhere. So there's not really any excuse for not taking in some of it. And that knowledge, who we are and how our minds work, it's just such a huge source of our power. Huge source of our power. Because without that knowledge, without that understanding of who we are and why our brains do what they do, we're kind of powerless. We're powerless to grow because we don't know where we're growing from. We're powerless to change, not that we necessarily need to change, but we're kind of powerless to because we don't know where we are to start with. And we're pretty powerless to handle what life throws at us. And life throws a lot, right? It's okay when you're young and life's kind of throwing a bit here and there if you're fortunate. But you can't get away with that forever. All of us have some shit thrown at us throughout life at some point. And it's really hard to handle that if we don't know who we are and how our minds work. And what I mean by handling that is also a part of mental strength. I remember when my youngest was born, he's got a congenital heart defect. So he had to have 3 open heart surgeries before he was 5. And people would say to me, I don't know how you cope. And I'd say, well, what do you mean by coping? If you mean I'm sailing through this without having any outward emotional reaction, then no, that's not a real thing. But that's also not coping. If you mean I'm still alive because I haven't chose to end it all, but I'm crying and throwing things at the wall, literally did that, and having a tantrum and raging, then yeah, I guess I'm coping. Like, what do we mean by coping and handling things? What I mean when I say we want to handle what life throws at us, I mean that we want to get through it with still maintaining the things we want to maintain. So still with our relationships intact, if we want them to be. Still with our physical and mental health intact, if possible. Still with our career intact, if we want it to be. I'm not saying like never change or lose anything, but we don't want our mental incapacity to mean that things fall apart that we wish we could keep. That's what I mean by handling it. So I don't mean, just sailing through. Everything's fine. Doesn't matter what life throws at me. I'm just zen. Like, that's not real. That's weird. So all the big emotional reactions, but an ability to maintain the things you want to keep in your life because you understand your mind and how it works and who you are. And with that comes an understanding of the people around us, which is also an enormous source of our power and strength. If we can understand ourselves and our loved ones, we can keep ourselves safe, right? And show love in important ways. So if we don't have that information about who we are and how our minds work, we're pretty powerless to make deep and meaningful connections with others, which is tragic because we all need that, right? We all need those connections. And so often I see people struggling to maintain their connections and their relationships because they've got no understanding of themselves. So they can't possibly have an understanding of the other person. And then we're really stuck. Whereas if we had all that knowledge and understanding, then we've got some power, then we've got some strength, then we can make the choices and keep the things that we want to keep. And just like with physical strength, we are not all created equal. We're not all born with the same physical capabilities, and we're not all born with the same brains. So you might be born with a neurodivergent brain, which in and of itself is not a problem. That's not a mental weakness. What happens is having a neurodivergent brain in a world that is made for neurotypical people means that you are struggling from the get-go and burnout is almost inevitable. It doesn't make you mentally weak. It means you're already using your mental strength just to exist. And that is true of people with any marginalization, right? You enter this world and you're not one of the ones at the center of the wheel of privilege and power. You're already using mental capacity just to exist in a world that is not created with your best interests at heart. And it could be very easy to feel like maybe I'm just mentally weak. No, you're mentally strong. You're just using a hell of a lot of that strength in just showing up, in just being here. And then if you are given trauma, what a gift. What a gift. Trauma, bit of trauma, as so many of us are, then you've got something else that is using up your mental strength. Again, it doesn't make you mentally weak. It means you're using up an enormous amount of mental strength, just handling the fact that your body is traumatized, and it's a bodily injury trauma. It shows up in our emotions and our reactions, so we think of it as something in the mind, but it alters our brain, like physically. Your huge reactions that feel irrational and too much and too big and unwarranted and like overreactions, those huge reactions that you feel in your body, your whole body is feeling something and you can't control it. And you think of those as mental weakness, or somebody has told you that they're mental weakness. Those are trauma responses. I'm not here to diagnose anybody with anything, but if you are regularly feeling huge things in your body that you cannot control and that people are a bit of a loss to help you with, it would be well worth looking into CPTSD. Now, if you are functioning through trauma, as so many of us are, right? So many of us, especially neurodivergent people, especially marginalized people, but so many of us for all kinds of reasons. If you are functioning through trauma and still managing to show up for yourself and for the people you love, you are one of the mentally strongest people out there. And I'm so sorry if you've been gaslit into believing that you're one of the weakest. And you deserve support, right? You deserve support. And that's not to say that it will suddenly be easy to get it or find it or get it from healthcare professionals or find money to pay for it, but you deserve it. Never doubt that you deserve it. So many people do not have the mental strength to deal with other people's big emotions and inner worlds, right? So many people don't have that mental strength. And because so many people don't have that mental strength, we are then gaslit into thinking that our displays of big emotions and our inner world are a weakness. It's the exact opposite. Our big emotions and our knowings, those are our power. And anyone who tells us that they are too much is trying to keep us small. And this is a really important flipping of the script that I want us all to try and remember. Being able to experience big emotions and hold space for them in ourselves and hold space for them for others is an enormous mental strength. And people who can't handle that will try to tell us that it's a problem, but it's only a problem for them because they don't have the mental strength to handle it. Okay? So learn everything you can about your brain, about your triggers, about your mental health, about your neurotype, and about your family's generational trauma, right? Because none of us pop into this world with a truly blank slate. That's not a thing. We inherit trauma, whether that's through being told about things, whether that's through the behavior of our caregivers, whether it's just in our body, even if we never knew our parents or our families, there is generational trauma in our bodies. This is something that if you are privileged enough to know some information about your family and your family history, it's all a part of what we're experiencing now. We're not just born with a totally blank slate. We already have a load of stuff, right? And this is where breaking the cycles is another act of enormous mental strength. If you can break the cycles of your family, you know, the negative ones, the unhelpful ones, the destructive cycles, if you can break those. Because all of that knowledge and understanding about who you are and how you work and why you respond the way you do and why certain things bother you and why certain things don't bother you and what you need and why you need it, rather than just judging what you need, like putting aside all that judgment and just aiming for understanding instead of shame. All of that is just as powerful as having physical strength. And I would argue it's way more powerful than physical strength is the mental strength to understand ourselves and extend that understanding to others and continue to learn and grow and learn about who we are. It's the foundation of everything, and it's one of the most powerful things we can do. So, can you be excessively kind to yourself and approach your brain with compassion and curiosity rather than judgment and shame? Because the more we do that, the more we can squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of life. Speak to you next time. Thank you so much for listening. It's great to have you along for the ride. Have you joined my membership yet? The Real Life Resource Lab is full of practical support for real life, not the shiny picture-perfect versions we think we should have. It's a warm, practical membership for people who are tired of feeling overwhelmed, disconnected, burned out, or stuck in the endless loop of knowing they want life to feel different, but not quite knowing how to make that happen. And the best bit? It's hosted by not one, but two amazing coaches, me and the audacious Anna Knight. Head to realliferesourcelab.com/lab to find out more, or follow the link in the show notes. See you in there.